Mr. Greg.
Hello.
Okay, so let me just check, make sure I did not miss you, but no Orisa yet, Gonzalez? No Tony Hernandez yet? Ian, I? Emily O? All right, perfect. We'll get started. Happy Tuesday to you. Remember that this week is just like last week in terms of what you have for a schedule. Monday obviously was a holiday, so that means today and tomorrow will be normal days for our class. If you have any periods 5, 6, or 7, they'll be normal as well on Thursday, Friday. This week I'm going to cover 2 basic concepts with you. One is going to be economic systems. And how a society decides to allocate resources and then distribute goods and services, even decide what goods and services are made. Tomorrow we'll take a look at circular flow models and what that means in terms of a product market or a factive market, how those things are exchanged in economic systems. So that's what we'll look at today. If you had worked on your test over the weekend, those grades were updated. I think there were 36 of you as of this morning. In the 3 sections that I have that have taken the test, it's still available. It'll start showing up in areas at 315 as a grade. If you haven't completed that, you want to make sure that you get that done. But go ahead and go to Module 6, which represents basically week 6 for us, and click on that page right here. Alrighty, so as I said, 2 main ideas this week. We're going to examine economic systems and what they are, and talk about how they vary, whether it is a command or centrally planned system, moving all the way to a market system, or a market system moving all the way back to a command or centrally planned system. So you need to be able to identify characteristics, similarities, and differences between all of the economic systems. We'll do a system analysis and a system comparison to practice that. We will also talk about circular flow models tomorrow, and basically the interactions between households and firms or businesses is what we call. So households generally own the factors of production: land, labor, capital, business knowledge. Businesses and firms are generally the ones that pay for those factors of production and then create goods and services based off of the factors of production that they buy. And so we'll talk about a circular flow model and what that would be able to tell us. All right, so if you go ahead and click, we'll get started in the systems here. All right, so the first system that I want to start with is a command or centrally planned system. And basically what I'm going to set up for you is a continuum, or what you might call a spectrum. So on the far left, all right, we're going to have command or centrally planned. So I'm going to go ahead and type this in so you can see this as we go into the explanation. So command, or it's sometimes called centrally planned system. And remember, all an economic system is how a society decides to allocate resources and answer the three questions of what, how, and for whom. So we're going to talk about command or centrally planned system. And we're going to move our way all the way from left to right. All right, so that's what we're going to look at there. Now, when we look at a centrally planned or command system, basically what we're talking about is a country or society in which the government answers the three questions of what, how, and for whom. So in a centrally planned economic system, the government owns the land and capital. In a sense, they own the labor too, because generally they take citizens and assign them certain jobs, give them certain civil servant exams, things like that, and determine where they're going to go. All of this comes about in the 1800s when Marx starts talking about redistribution of wealth, right? So Karl Marx wrote Das Kapital and basically talked about how basically business and greed that comes from trying to make as much money as you can is bad for a society. And so he advocates for basically a redistribution of wealth, which is an economic theory known as socialism. Communism is the political means by which you can create a socialist economy. So your Russian Revolution in 1917, if you remember that from your world history class, the Communist Revolution in China in 1949, you have the Korean War, which North Korea and South Korea, the communists are fighting the American-backed South Koreans. You have Vietnam in the 70s. All of these, right, are struggles between how best of an economic system for our society and how should it be run. So socialism is the economic theory behind this redistribution of wealth. Communism is going to be the political mechanism and mechanics to actually collectivizing the factors of production and then redistributing those to those who are seen or as needed. So social societies, right, because it's an economic theory, can be democratic. France would be an example of that. But when you have a communist society, they are authoritarian, and thus that is going to be the mechanism in which their economy is going to be run. So you can have a socialist economy that is either democratic or communist, right? But you can't have a communist country generally that is not socialist in nature. So same thing with Cuba, right? So as we move, right, from left to right, as we move from left to right, so we had over here, right, our command or centrally planned system. Now we're going to look at a mixed system. As we move away from a command economy, we are noticing that there is less government control, all right, in each of these economic sets. So as we move from left to right, the one thing that you want to see is that there is less government control in these economic systems. So when you look at a mixed system is going to be a little bit of the command or centrally planned system in which the government controls some aspects of the economic system. But a mixed system is also going to have some individual or business decisions that are not enforced or created by the government. So a mixed economy, the economic decisions are made by both individuals and the government. This has more of Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations laissez-faire economic theory in it. There should be private property. Citizens should have private property ownership of the factor of production of land. They should have a say in what is produced. You should have some sort of free enterprise that goes along with this private ownership. And what you'll see in a mixed economy is generally there's a transition between more government regulation or less government regulation. And basically it's like a pendulum. It swings back and forth depending on how the economic system is doing. If you look at the United States in the 1870s, 1880s, 1890s, post-Civil War, right, with the Reconstruction of the South, there is a economic depression in the 1870s and 1880s, really hits hard in the 1890s, specifically on farmers. And so what they wanted was, right, the Sherman Antitrust Act. You see during that time period, they wanted monopolies crushed so that prices would be more fair. People could afford things. Farmers were having a heck of a time because railroads had a monopoly, and to ship any of their crops anywhere in the United States to these new urban areas that were developing during the time, they had to pay whatever price the railroads deemed that. And so there's a lot of things that go on in a mixed economy that sort of vary between less government regulation or more government regulation, depending upon the time that you're looking at. And so during those transactions and transitions between regulation, whether it be more or less, you're going to see a mixed economy, generally for the most part, is able to react to recessions and inflationary time periods where the economy is very good and sort of stem that for prolonged growth. Two things about a mixed economy. When you have, and you've seen this in your US history class, right? When we had westward expansion, the United States government allowed people to go out and buy portions of land, federal land, for development. When private individuals buy from the government, that is privatization. They're taking from the public and they are buying for themselves. When the government buys from the private sector, that's called collectivization. So collectivization in a traditional sense, in Russia, in the Russian Revolution, when Stalin takes control after the death of Lenin, collectivization is basically Stalin goes throughout the southern portion of Russia where most of the farming was done and basically takes away everybody's farms. Redistributes that equally, right? Because they are in this socialist communist setup, right? Socialism for economy, communism for political theories. Problem is those people didn't know how to farm. You took the farms away from the farmers, then you had on top of that famine, you got a drought, millions die. So privatization and collectivization just depends on which way the factors of production are going. So, and that doesn't mean like even in the United States, right? The United States government buys F-35 jets from Boeing, right? Or contracts with Boeing to create these jets. So you can have exchanges take place both ways. And then finally, we've got a market system. These are the three most popular. So what you have and what you're looking at, right, is basically a continuum or a spectrum. Over here on the far left is market, or excuse me, command or centrally planned. On the far right is market, and in the middle is mixed. So if we go command over here, we would have mixed in the middle and we would have market over here. All right. And as I said, if we look at the spectrum as we go from left to right, what we get down here, whoops, is less government interference. So as we move from left to right, we're getting less government control. As we move from right to left, from a market economy to command, we're getting more government control. So when we look at this, right, when we look at this, what you'll see in a market system, individuals or businesses are generally the ones that make the decisions on what is going to be produced, how it's going to be produced, and for whom it's going to be produced. In a market system, generally you'll see what we call specialization. And so one of the things, if you have looked at, a way to see this, right? If you look at even the types of houses that are in the Santa Maria Valley, there are a number of different designs and there's a number of different floor plans, landscaping, etc., based on the neighborhood that you're in. If you ever go to a communist country, they are very similar in their housing developments. They're very similar in the way that they produce things. Almost everything looks alike. And the reason is they don't have a lot of specialization in a command or centrally planned economy. In a market system, you can have specialization because different people are putting up their own money to provide a good that they think will be very popular to the people in their market. In a market economy, households, right, where you and I live, own the factors of production and are consumers for goods and services. Firms in a market economy are businesses that use resources to produce the goods and services that we want and that they sell. And so what that does is create basically two markets. There's a factor market and a product market. The factor market is the area of exchange where businesses pay people for their land, their labor, their capital, or their business knowledge. The product market is where people like you and I, we pay for the goods and services that are made. So if, let's say you have a part-time job at Subway, you're part of the factor market. You go work for Subway, they pay you for your labor. You get a paycheck, whether it be once a week, twice, once every 2 weeks, whatever it might be. When you get that paycheck, you then turn around, deposit that money into a checking account, cash the check, and you can go to a place like Kohl's, Target, wherever you might want to go, Albertsons, go shopping, what have you. You then become part of the product market. You take your money that you made for providing labor, and then you go buy finished goods and services with that money. Is any questions on that? Okay. So another way to look at this, let me use more words than anything else. So another way to look at this, and let me increase the size of this so you can see. Another way to look at this is simply this. Different societies in different countries, right? We know have different governments, they have different cultures, they have different types of people and things going on. All an economic system is how a particular society or country wants to answer those three questions right there. That's all an economic system is. How they decide, right? How they decide to answer those three questions helps to determine the type of economic system they have. What are they going to produce with their limited resources, right? Because we know everything is scarce, doesn't matter what it is. How are they going to produce the goods and services that their society wants with those limited resources? And then once those goods and services are produced, who's going to get them, all right? Who's going to get them? So society, right, will determine food, clothing, shelter, education, roads, defense based on, right, their economic system and based on their ability for their government to provide that. So what, right, is determining what are we going to make? What goods and services are going to make? How is it going to be labor intensive or capital intensive? All right. And then when you look at for whom, right, once the products are made, who's going to get them and how will they be distributed? So that's all an economic system is. And so when you look at economic systems, there's really four systems. Command or centrally planned that we talked about, and government makes all the decisions. Mixed, in which businesses and individuals and governments make the decisions. Market, in which individuals and businesses only make the decisions with some government regulation generally. And then the one that I had not put up into a full issue is traditional. A traditional economy is something similar to what you would find in the country of Iran, right? where social norms and culture, religion really dictate their society. And so in Iran, it's probably going to be unlikely that you're going to find drugs in that society, as it's not really something that is tolerated. Probably not going to find much alcohol, probably not going to find pork. So there's a number of things that traditionally, culturally, socially, they don't do that aren't allowed. So it is based basically on traditions. So when we look at a market economy, something similar to what you find in the United States, Singapore, even the Chinese province of Hong Kong, generally the three questions are decided by individuals in the marketplace. Individuals decide who, what, how, and for whom, basically. In a command or centrally planned economy like China, you're going to have the government make the decisions. The government decides what is going to be made. The government's going to decide everything about that. In fact, there was, I think it was in the late 80s, maybe early 90s, the Chinese along the Yellow River decided to create a series of dams that were going to displace thousands of people along the valley there, but it was for the development of energy and other things. And the Chinese government just went ahead and displaced those people and moved them somewhere else. And that can be done in a command or centrally planned economy. In a mixed economy, the three questions are decided by a combination of the market and government. So for example, if you look at France, France is a socialist country by nature. A lot of redistribution, similar to your Norwegian countries of Sweden, Norway, Finland, but they are also democratic, right? French get to vote, and for the most part, you still have that in the Norwegian countries as well. They are pretty democratic in terms of what happens. Questions for me on that? All right, so very, very basic. It's just who makes the decisions, right? If the government is the only one making the decisions, it's a command economy. If individual businesses are the only ones making the decisions, it's a market economy. If you have a mix of government and individuals and businesses, it's a mixed, all right? It's pretty simple in terms of what is there. From this page in your module, if you go ahead and click next, I'll show you the last two things that you need to do for today. So your first page after the notes there on the three types of major economic systems is going to be something called system analysis. Okay, so if we look at the first one, where it says system analysis, basically there's going to be two hypothetical situations. All right, two hypothetical situations. You're going to apply your knowledge of economic systems to this. So you're going to be hired as an economic advisor to a mythical nation. They have a tropical climate. For generations, basically farmers have grown enough to feed their families, but the world market has grown for the fruits that they grow there. To increase production and grow enough for export, these farmers need modern equipment, training, new farming methods. There are also rich uranium deposits in an interior mountains, but there are no railroads or highways in these mountains. So basically they're going to ask you what your advice to them would be to do that. The second one is going to be similar to a communist nation that comes into being after World War II, maybe something similar to China. So the government owns the nation's most important resources, the iron mines. It controls the railroads, the shipbuilding industry, and their ball bearing factories. Right? The Communist Party has always been proud of its ability to supply inexpensive housing, food, and medical care to all. But in recent years, the party's economic plans have broken down. Food is scarce. Productivity of mines and factories have fallen sharply. What would you recommend they do to increase that? So that would be the first thing that you would do. The second thing basically looks at two real life examples. So the system comparison on the next page is looking at the United States and North Korea. So the United States, right, is a market economy for the most part. North Korea is a command or centrally planned economy. In the United States, who owns or controls the means of production? All right, and you're going to put that there. In North Korea, who owns the means of production? Who owns the resources, or how are they allocated in both those countries? And then finally, once the goods and services are made, how are they distributed? All right. And so what you want to do with your remaining time is to do both of these. They're on Go Formative. So if you click in this, it'll put you into formative and you'll be able to submit those answers there. As I said, if you still have not done the test, it's still open for full credit. You want to use the link on the module. For some reason, I haven't figured out why yet. Let me show you here.
Mr. Black, I have a question.
Just a second here. It's showing your test is there twice. So I think this here is twice, and I don't know why. I don't know why it's showing up twice. I've asked the district to explain that. If you go to even your assignments or your modules, if you click in last week's module, if you click on this right here, it will take you to the right version of that. So if you get an error message or something that says that assessment is available or whatever, you're clicking on the wrong link. Click on this. When you do that, you should get access to this box, and then you should be able to open up the test. It'll start showing up in areas at 3:15. So that would be what you need to do between now and tomorrow. As I said, tomorrow we will look at circular flow models, and we'll talk about factor markets and product markets and what that tells us. Questions, go ahead and shoot. What you got?
What's the join code for Go Formative?
Join code for Go Formative for this section. Let me put it into, so you want to make sure that you sign up with your school email or your grades won't transfer. The join code for this class is the letter Z, the number 4, the letter B, the number 4, number 3, letter J. I put it in the chat room for everybody. Next question. Okay, so make sure, I would do your test first if you haven't finished that. But then after that, do the system analysis and system comparison with the 3 big economic systems. As I said, tomorrow we'll do a circular flow model and explain factor market and product market and what that tells us. And we'll be done for the week. If you have any questions or need any help, stay on and be happy to help you. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
It says that my email address is already taken.
I'm going to have you share your screen with me.
Wait, hold on.
Find out what's going on here.
It says cool. This email's already taken.
Okay, hold on just a second. Let me see if you're...
Yeah, I'm on my personal because I'm not in the county right now. Or I haven't been in the county for about 2-3 months. So I'm on my personal. They didn't let me take my school computer.
Okay, so if it says I already have an account, go to log in the upper right. Go to log in. There you go. Click on log in with Microsoft in that black bar.
This is not my school computer, so it's gonna log in with my personal stuff.
It should give you a choice. Go ahead and still click on that.
It signed in with my personal information. It didn't give me a choice.
Okay, so log out of that. Go ahead and hit OK. Hold on just a second. I'll send you an invite. It might work better that way. Okay. Okay, so to your school email, I sent an invite. Use that and the join code to join. That should make it work.
All right, I'll try that right now.
Okay. So Rue, go ahead and share your screen.
I have Zoom on my phone and I have the other thing with my tablet because my tablet didn't want to do Zoom. So.
Okay, so you'll want to use, so yours is probably going to be the same issue. So you're going to use this join code and I'm going to send you an invitation to your school email.
No, the thing is, it says you need permission, want access switch account with permission or has to be invited. I've already done the rest of it. It just says that I'm signed in as my student email, fully correct and everything. Just says I need permission from you.
Let me see. So it opened today. It's not restricted to anybody. Allowed edits. Yeah, without seeing your screen, I can't tell. Because it shows. It shows that you have access, but I'm not showing you as a student at all in my class.
Again?
Yeah, it's not. You're not showing up as at all.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I just be personal?
I didn't hear what you said. What'd you say?
It's still not letting me.
Yeah, it's not allowing me either. It says I'm ineligible to take the test.
I'm not talking about the test. I'm trying to
The
get
test or the, okay, so one at a time. So,
Maddie, go ahead and go.
I can share my screen to show you.
The what?
I can share my screen to show you, but it's just saying I cannot take the assessment at this time. And then
Okay, so you're talking about the test, right?
yeah.
Okay, so you probably got locked out.
So it's not letting me join at all.
Okay, so share your screen, Maddie, so I can see what it says. Maddie, are you able to share your screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so click out of that tab. All right, go to rigetti.us. Down the left-hand side at the bottom, it'll say staff resources. Underneath SMJ UHSD resources, it says staff resources. Click on that on the left-hand column. Okay, scroll down a little bit. There's two ones that say school city teacher, school city student. Click on school city student. It's just to the right of where your mouse is at. To the right. It says stars, student, school city. There you go. All right. Up there in the username, that's your 6-digit ID. And that is your tablet password. I would save it. Click on Take Assessments. And that's it right there. So you can start it when you're ready.
Thank you.
Huh?
It's still not. It's not letting me do anything. It won't let me log in at all.
Yeah.
And it keeps saying my school email's already taken.
Well, the only thing that I can do on my end, I'm going to see if I can add you manually. The other thing that you'd want to do is click on I forgot my password.
I already did that.
Huh?
I already did that.
And it won't let you reset the password?
No.
Okay. Then I'll have to email the district and have them delete your account.
All right. Thank you.
So, yep, you bet.
So what do I do for now?
I would work on the test number 1 if you haven't taken it yet.
All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
See you tomorrow.
You bet.
Hey, wait, it's lunchtime now, huh?
At 11:30 it is.
So from what time's the next class? 12:20?
12. 12:20, yes.
All right. Thank you. See you later.
You bet.
So it doesn't recognize me as a student at all, is what you're saying?
In my list here in period 2, I don't have you down at all. Your information is not there at all. So I'm sending you a invite link to your school email address.
Okay.
See if it'll let you sign in or log in. But without you being able to share your screen, I can't tell what's going on.
Okay.
Curtis or Jessica, go ahead.
Okay, it allowed me in now. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Let me see if I can see you real quick. Um, wonder if, yep, I see you. Yeah, says you just got in a minute ago. Okay, you should be set.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. Yep, we'll see you later.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.